Hello everyone, I'm Rachael Lowe from Physiopedia and I am very excited today to be talking to Dr Emma Stokes. Hello Emma. Emma, how are you today?
I'm great, thanks. Tell me,
Good.
Rachel.
Emma is the president of the WCPT and she has lots of other strings to her bow. So maybe actually Emma, although I said to you just now I wasn't going to ask you to introduce yourself, perhaps you could just tell everyone a little bit about yourself and what you get up to alongside your work as the president of the WCPT.
Okay, well, I'm speaking to you this morning from Trinity College, Dublin, which is where I do my day job. And it's a fantastic day job that I have. I have the privilege and the fun and the joy of teaching physiotherapy students in Trinity, which is a very old university in Dublin. And it's a fabulous job. I love it. I go in every morning and I meet the next generation of physiotherapists, and I get a chance to give them some of the, I guess, experiences that I've had. And I teach professional issues, so I teach over 3 years, and so I go along their journey with them, and they're fabulous. And I love going in every day, and I work with a great group of people, and I do research like many other academics, and I get to be the president of WCPT, which is just such a privilege as well. So it's fabulous, fabulous life.
And we've got to know you quite well through our partnership with the WCPT, with the Physiopedia WCPT partnership. So we've enjoyed chatting to you about global issues surrounding our profession and working together with you. I want to talk to you today a little bit about global health. We're talking to you today in advance of our global health course, and we'll share this surrounding the course when that's running. So I've spoken to a few people now about global health. Our mission statement at Physiopedia has global health in it. I have done a MOOC myself on global health, so I have tried to understand the term myself in relation to our profession, and it seems, talking to people, it seems like there's quite a lot of confusion around the actual term global health and how it relates to our profession. Many people talk about many different aspects of global health and what they think is important. So many people talk about NCDs in relation to non-communicable diseases in relation to physiotherapy, and then some people talk about international development, others talk about social inequality. Some people see global health as a issue in low resource countries only, and I'm not sure how correct correct that is. So what I'm wondering is, what do you think? What is global health to you, first of all, and how do you think it relates to our profession?
So I guess I'm going to answer that question with my president of the CPT hat on. And in that role, then, as a global organization, where do we situate WCPT and physical therapy and physiotherapy in the various definitions of global health? And I guess if we were to think about sort of drawing out some of the themes that emerge within the definitions of global health, it's about study, research, practice that focuses perhaps on health inequalities, but also themes that emerge are aspects of collaboration that transcend national boundaries. So issues around health and access to health and I guess equalities around health that are beyond national boundaries. And I suppose as a global organization, we are a very diverse organization, and we have to hold that diversity, both the strength and the challenge of that diversity. And that's a constant, I guess, present and intentional activity that we do as a global organization. So for me, global health is about a number of different things. It's about the going beyond the particularities of national health services and systems, and what are the key issues that emerge when we take a global look at the physical therapy world, and what do we understand about what we can do to, as a profession, promote health and well-being for all, and very much situated in the context of what physiotherapists do best, which is about movement and promotion of movement and helping people move more and move better.
How do you think how do you think that physiotherapists can, as an individual clinician or researcher, or everybody, all physiotherapists have a different sort of role within the profession. How do you think they can? I think it's really difficult for individuals in our profession at the moment. I don't think it will stay this way, to actually understand their individual role and how they can contribute to global health. And like you said, transcend boundaries and contribute to health equality. How can we make it easy for individuals to try and understand their role in that?
So I guess it depends on where that individual is situated. Because there isn't a solution. So a physiotherapist in Ireland is in a very different situation to a physiotherapist in Syria, for instance, or a physiotherapist working in a well-resourced clinic in a country is very different to a physiotherapist who might be receiving refugees from another country in a receiving point. So I think I guess I'm always nervous about providing a sort of a blanket answer to a question like that, because it's like the question, what is the future of physiotherapy? Well, the future of physiotherapy is very different depending on where you're standing in the world. And that's something that I come back to all the time. But if we were to think about the themes, if we were to take it sort of at a thematic level, and we were to sort of then say to people, these are the themes within physiotherapy that touch global health. And we were to just then allow people to sort of engage with those themes wherever they are situated in their practice as a physiotherapist. I think in some ways, if we could unpack that better, and I think this course would be really helpful in doing that, then what we're doing is we're taking almost like a principles-based approach. We're saying, these are the principles that we understand as a physical therapy community that relate to us in the context of global health. Now, you take a look at your practice and see what that is. So for some people, global health, or participating in the global conversation, is global health. So being part of attending an international meeting, that could be situating your practice in learning about what's happening globally in your field of practice. So that could be, I'm going to put a pitch for Congress in Cape Town in 2017, but that is, if you like, an enactment of global physiotherapy and understanding and learning from physiotherapists from all over the world, not just from the same, perhaps, low resource country that you live in or the same high resource country that you live in. So that's one aspect. It could be going to IFOMT. It could be going to the international conferences that are organized by subgroups of WCPT, or indeed any other international conference. That is, if you like, situating our practice in a global conversation. It could be like, the Mike Landrys and the Peak Skeltons of this world, who you'll have spoken to, and the, Anthony Deteens and, Phil Shepherd and people like that, who roll up their sleeves, and they are the frontline responders. They are the people that go into the parts of the world where there has been either a man-made or a climate-driven or a war, and they are there to work on the ground with physiotherapists in those countries. And increasingly we are seeing that it's no longer important to just go in and do the first responder response to a conflict or a disaster. The rehabilitation piece after that is incredibly important. So there's a role for physiotherapists there, but that's not going to be an opportunity that either is attractive to or works for many, many physiotherapists. And yet we have, stellar contributions, both at a practical level and at a policy level, from speakers that you will have included in the course. So, we've shining examples of that. We have within our professional organizations around the world specific interest groups that look at the international development aspect of global health. And for a lot of physiotherapists, that's going to be it. It's going to be their volunteer experience. It's going to be engaging either as a student on an elective placement or as a qualified practicing physiotherapist to go and spend a period of time in another part of the world learning about and contributing to the growth of the profession. For others, it might be being a country mentor on our SUDA project, which is a project that's we're with Handicap International, where you can read about more on our website, but where we're working with physiotherapy organizations and educational institutions and helping them grow their capacity to develop the profession in Mali and Senegal and Niger. And so those are just some of the examples, I guess, about what global health might mean to physiotherapists. It might be any or all, or indeed there may be many more examples that I just can't think of. But to me, those are some of the examples that we can have. I think we have a role in trying to influence international policy and how that cascades down to national policy. So we need to, as anyone who has an opportunity to influence national policy then needs to be familiar with what are the WHO policies that are cascading down to national policies. So that's a global health position. That's a role for understanding the global context. Physiotherapists need to be aware of the Sustainable Development Goals and where health and where physiotherapy is situated within those. So there is so much out there where not even leaving your own practice means that you are part of a global community. And then there's obviously the most immediate example, which is we are living in increasingly diverse communities, where, I can speak about Ireland because, it's the country I know best. But when I started my practice in Ireland, we all looked the same. We didn't really have a very diverse cultural mix within Ireland, and that has transformed in the time that I have been a physiotherapist. So understanding cultural safety, being sensitive to cultural difference, knowing that the people that we serve, the patients, the clients, the communities that we serve are increasingly diverse. And in a way that's global health, but it's within a local context. So I wish there was a simple answer, but I'm afraid there isn't.
The wrong person to ask.
No, not at all.
I don't linear.
No, so I don't think there is a simple answer at the moment for global health for our profession. I think that's the whole point of having these conversations, and they're great, and it's really good to listen to you talk, because there isn't a simple answer, but just talking to people and listening to everybody, there are themes that come out, and there are nuggets of advice and, things that people can do to get involved. And I think as more people join in the conversation, I think we will gain more of an understanding of what global health really means to our profession, and be able to describe it in a shorter fashion, because I can't either. It's really difficult. But I think one thing that you've said that's really stood out in my mind, and I think I now take this for granted, I think, when I, having worked through Physiopedia for the last however many years, I think I take for granted that I have a good understanding of what physiotherapy is in different countries around the world. And I think before I started working with people all over the world, I had no idea what physiotherapy was in different countries. And I think you brought that up when you first started talking after this last question, that a really good place to start is to try and have an understanding of what physiotherapy is in different countries around the world. And like you said, ways to do that is through conversation and international meetings. You can't have that understanding until you converse with physiotherapists from those countries. And that will make a big difference to our profession, I think, as more people understand the role of the profession in different places around the world. Would you agree?
Absolutely. I think WCPT is it's an organization of 112 member organizations and 2 provisional members. So we're close to 114 member organizations, 1 per country, if you will. And when I started my international journey, my wonderful, fabulous, joyful journey, the way in which we were able to meet and engage and understand one another was in person, and it's very hard to beat that. But I think now increasingly we can connect in different ways. So through the MOOCs, through the Physiopedia run, through even just going onto the Physiopedia website and seeing the diversity of the people who are involved in generating content. But also, Physio Talk and any of these type of tweet chats and the global community on Twitter and on Facebook, and social media has opened up the global community. So in terms of diversity and holding diversity, I mean, WCPT, as I have said many times, has a member organization that has about 12 or 13 physiotherapists and a member organization that has nearly 70,000 physiotherapists. And if we stop being curious about how physiotherapy and physical therapy is practiced in other parts of the world, then that's a very sad day. Because notwithstanding where we are and where we believe we are and where we hold very true to where we are, there is so much to learn from practice in other parts of the world. If nothing else, to sort of have it reflected back that, yes, what we are doing is actually what other people are doing. And so that's very important, and it's a very important truth. But also to be surprised and to be curious about how practice has changed and developed and grown in other parts of the world. Because no matter how well developed or how advanced our scope of practice is, there is always something to learn from another physiotherapist from a different part of the world. And if the only thing we learn is to be grateful for what we have, then that's an important lesson too. It really is. But I think also understanding the culture of the way that the profession is practiced gives us an insight into how we might engage with a patient or client from that part of the world who happens to be living in our country now. And that's really important. And so it's about celebrating the diversity, acknowledging the diversity, and yet knowing that if we're curious about it, if we wear our professional identity as it is in our country lightly, then that allows us to be curious and to engage and to find out more and to learn. And that's what being part of a global community is about. And it's so much easier to be part of that global community now and to be part of that conversation now than it was, say, when I was starting out as a physiotherapist. That, yeah, we are better and stronger if we understand and learn from our diversity.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. And I think that's a really, for some people, that's going to be a really good place to start. And like you said, just learning about or being curious and learning about the profession will help us to contribute to global health where we choose to make that contribution. And that contribution can be at home in your own clinic with your own local community. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to be on the front line, as some people think of global health, like going to the acute disaster situations or whatever. You can make that contribution in your global community. You can jump on a plane and go to an earthquake zone, or for instance, or you can just connect with someone in another country somewhere and offer some knowledge. There are many ways, aren't there, to get involved, and I think it's really nice how you've talked about how you've encouraged people to be curious, just to find out about different situations. Yeah, I think that's a really nice conversation to add to the global health conversation.
Good, I'm glad.
So we've had a good chat about that. I think there's some really nice tidbits of advice in there, and we've talked about connecting with people across the world, and you did mention Congress, and I will mention it again. WCPT Congress is an absolutely fabulous conference for international connections. Next year in South Africa, we will be there with you. It's one of the conferences where we really enjoy meeting up with our users and collaborators from all over the world. And I guess your conferences are definitely one of the places where we've been able to meet people that we otherwise wouldn't be able to meet from different places around the world, and have a good understanding of the profession across the world, which is really good. So yeah, big plug for South Africa next year, WCPT.
July, exactly.
July next year, yeah.
Can I just I guess it's just two other things that I'd just like to sort of highlight that I think would be very exciting projects for people to keep an eye out on. First of all, the WCPT website is full of enormous resources around global health and around global physiotherapy, and we are going to be we do a mapping exercise around physiotherapy. One of the things that I think we're going to be doing now in the future is going to be far more clever with how we disseminate that information and how we create an opportunity for that information to be used in advocacy initiatives or understanding of the role of physiotherapy in influencing agendas. So watch out for that. The other aspect that we're going to be looking for is looking for volunteers and physiotherapists who have a particular expertise in an area who might want to contribute in a small way or in a big way in terms of perhaps traveling to parts of the world and sharing their knowledge. And so we'll be putting out a call for people to give us that information in a database that we will hold that would be quite an organic and open-facing database. So it's another opportunity for people to get involved in global physiotherapy on their terms, in ways that they can do it and manage it within their lifestyle and their commitments. So a couple of really exciting projects coming down the line. And of course, the new WCPT strategic plan is all about how WCPT sees itself and situates itself in the global physiotherapy community. So all of those resources are there, and I know that you'll put some links on them for the course. But it's so exciting to be part of the global physiotherapy community, and that in itself is a contribution to some of the themes around global health.
Yeah, for sure. And being, obviously Physiopedia is a WCPT non-profit partner, and we have learnt so much from being a partner with you and being able to collaborate with you. And as you say, there are many opportunities for people to engage with the WCPT, even if it's just to explore the website. And it's really helped us to engage with the global community and become a part of the global community. So I'd encourage people to do that on an individual basis as well. It's a really good place to start in this global health conversation. So yeah, thank you very much, Emma. I hope that, is there anything else that we haven't talked about that you'd like to mention before we go today?
No, I don't think so. We love working, WCPT loves working with Physiopedia. We're very proud of that partnership, and it's a wonderful, wonderful resource. So I'm really looking forward to this MOOC.
Yeah, good. Thanks very much for talking to us today. It's an absolute pleasure. And thank you for sharing your knowledge on global health with everyone around the world.
The pleasure's all mine.